Hi, this is Manny from Manny's Makings, and welcome. Today we are going to do a little bit of wire wrapping. I have these wonderful clay cabochons. They're clay, so they're ceramic pieces, and they have a front drilled hole. I don't know if you can see here. So there's a hole here. So I thought, let's see how we can do this. So we're going to do this together. I have some ideas for the start, but other than that, I don't know where I'm going yet. So this is going to be a fun journey together. So this could be done with any front drilled stone, cabochon, anything you'd like. And some of the things you're going to need is a stone or, a ceramic piece like this. It has to be front drilled. You're going to need some wire. So I have some wire from ParaWire, 18 gauge, and I'm going to do this in a two-tone metal. So I have silver, and I have some copper wire, 26 gauge for weaving. You have a sundry of pliers and cutters, so I have my I just drew a total blank, so that was fun. I have my nippers, I have my chain nose, bent nose pliers, I have my nylon pliers, I have my round nose pliers, and I have my chain nose, flat nose pliers. So, and I probably even have a square nose pliers as well that I might use too. Who knows what I'm going to use. So we're going to start. So I decided that this here, I checked with just a piece of wire. I have a scrap piece of wire sitting around, and I sort of checked the measurement of sort of roughly around how much space this. You could do this with string, whatever. So I checked the space around it and found it was around in circumference total of about 5.5 inches. Giving myself space because if I'm going to weave a few wires, it's going to be wider at the top, so it's going to make a wider bend coming around. So I cut off 12 because I'm playing and I don't know where I'm going to go. So I cut off 12 inches of 4 different wires, made sure that they were straight. So now we get to do the fun part. So let me move some of this stuff out of the way. And please like and subscribe if you want to see future videos like this. I'm going to try to do a few more wire weaving. People seem to like them. So I'm just going to grab, I call it a wingspan because that's what I work with. So basically from the tip of my nose to the edge of my finger. And, that's how much space I'm going to start with. And I'm not afraid to add weaving wire if I need to. I do it a lot because I don't do well when wire gets all tangled up. The other thing is that sometimes when wire comes off a spool, this one's not too bad. It can be really, super kinky. So if you just run your fingers down it lightly, and you can take some of that kink out, and that helps with everything. So let's start with the weave. I think I'm going to do... I don't know what it's called, but we're going to try one. So I need a fair amount of weaving. I'm starting, I don't know, a few inches from the bottom. I can move this weaving at the beginning if I need to figure it out, but I need to have the middle 6 inches basically has to be covered in wire weaving. So, the middle 6 inches. So about what 1/4 of the way up is where I'm starting. And I'm wrapping with copper, antique copper from ParaWire. So I'm just doing a couple of wraps. And since this is sort of Celtic flavored, I also have a little finding that I made that I'm going to probably try and incorporate somewhere. It's a little Tuscallion. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if it'll focus for me. So I'm going to see if I can incorporate that. So I'm just starting the wire. Let me bring this in so you can see a little bit better. So I'm just bringing the wire around, and I find I struggle with the first 2 being really tight. So I tend to pull opposite ways, and then I take my thumbnails and squish them in so that they get tight together, and then I take this wire, bring it over to the side to hold on to. So I do a couple, and now I'm going to bring in my next weaving wire. So I'm going to bring in my next one. I'm just putting it on top. And I'm just trying to think how I want to do this. Okay, so I'm going to go across the 2 of them and up through the middle. That's the fun thing about weaving. Yes, there's lots of patterns out there, but realistically, you can do whatever you want. You can try different things, different combinations, and see what they look like. Sorry. I'm just getting the next weaving wire ready to see what they look like. See if you like them, if you don't like them. So I'm coming up around that one. So I'm coming up around 2 each time. And coming back down through the middle of that. So far I have the start, I have the one over the first 2 wires, the one over the second and third wire, and now I'm going to add my last wire. I'll bring that in close. Hopefully I'm staying on screen for you. That's one of the things I find difficult about filming, and I'm sure all those other people that film wire wrapping tutorials will tell you the same thing. It's really hard to stay on. You basically have to plant this hand and not move it ever. So I'm coming around the top 2 wires and coming to the middle of it again. And I'm going to go around the top one just once. And then I'm going to come back down so that I'm going to be to between the first and second. And then back up the middle, and then down to the bottom. So I sort of created this little, I don't know, like a wheat, or it's probably a wheat weave. I'm just creating this little bridge to cover the both, and then I'm going to wrap around the bottom one here. So I'm going to go one, I'm going to separate my wires out a little bit. Hopefully it's focusing for you. So as I said, we're sort of doing this together. I haven't made one already and, you know, figuring it all out. So this is, you're going to get to see my creative process. And if you like that, let me know. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I want to, whoops, I just put this down against this. I thought I want a fair amount of space of that silver because I think it brings out the sort of glossiness of this. So I'm going to go a few more. So that was 5. Again, I have to re-spread my wires. At the beginning, it's a little fussy. Anybody who's done any wire weaving at all knows that the wires can be a little fussy. Want to move around on you a lot until you sort of get them all secured in there. So, and as you can see, I straighten one wire and then I roll it in my fingers and it rolls back around. So don't panic, just take your time. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I'm going to repeat the pattern that I did the first time, which is up around the first 2. So I'm wrapping it around the first 2, and then I'm coming between the first and second one and pulling it in tight. And then I'm coming up and I'm going to go between the third and fourth one, and I'm going to come up, back up between the second and third one, and pulling it tight. Then I'm going around this top one. I'm just going to push this in. There we go. So I straightened it out. Go around this top one, and then I'm going to come back down between the first and second one. Yeah, I have a bad habit of, I find my wires don't, here, let me show you. My wires tend to do this at the end. And which makes it really annoying, and then you're always straightening wires. So one of my habits, besides straightening my wires at the end, is to just poke my wire, to just loop my wire lightly between where the spaces I want to go, and then just grab it from the other side. It's a habit I have, probably not a good one, but it is a habit that I have. So I'm going to go between the first and second wire. And I do that more when the wires are long. And I'm going to come back up over, and I'm going to go down between the third and fourth wire. Up, you know what I forgot? I forgot one. Uh-oh. So I forgot to do that extra wrap across the top. So we're going to undo that. Especially when I'm starting out. Kind of nice to get it right the first time. So don't panic. Just come back the same path you were just doing. So I was here. I need to do one wrap around the top here. Now, you can use your finger or your thumb and it'll straighten those little kinks out. If it really is really super kinky, you can use your nylon pliers and pull. This wire is pretty malleable, especially at this stage because I haven't done much weaving with it yet, so it's not work hardened or anything. So it's pretty happy to let me straighten it out pretty easily. So I'm going to go back around. Now we're going to go back down between the first and second, over the second and third, down between the third and fourth, up between the second and third, push it in, back down to the bottom, and then we're going to wrap 10 more times. 1, 2, 3. Now, I'm sliding along my wire a little bit here, so I'm just straightening things out. 3, 4, and I tend to use my nail a lot too, so see how this is sort of loose here? I kind of take my finger and I'm pushing the wire as I go with my finger, and then I bring my nail in to push it in as I turn. Everybody has their own style. You're going to figure out yours, what works for you, and you're going to be happy. So let's see, where was I? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's 4. I had to bring it up under my magnifier. As you all know, I have some visual issues. So I have a big magnifying light that helps me to both see and make it bright in here, but it also helps me to when I can't count things, I can't actually see this individual weave wraps. So even with special glasses and everything, so this helps me to still do the things that I love. 1, 2. That's 5. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I'm going to do 10 every time I do these little spikes. I'm going to do 10 in between. So this is what it looks like so far. If I bring it up, see if I can get it to focus. So it's kind of cool. I'm happy. It's gonna look good with this. It's gonna look like spikes on a moon or something, you know, or spikes on a sun or something as I go around, because I'm gonna put the coiled wire on the inside and the open wire on the outside and just let it have some air to breathe. So again, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do one more for you, and then we'll come back once everything's up to speed. So I'm going to go between the second and third, and let's move this out of the way, between the second and third, and down, up between the first and second, and I'm going to push that in, and then I'm going to go up, and I'm going to go down between the third and fourth, and push it in, and then I'm going to come back down, up between the second and third. Remember I said I always push, I can have a tendency to push it in, and then up over the top 2 wires, and then that one wrap around that top wire. And then push it straight. And you can use your, if you need to, you can, if you don't have fingernails or you're not comfortable using your fingernails because you have wonderful manicures, feel free to use your, like I just did with the plier, with your pliers. You can bring it in to straighten it out. That's fine. So, and I'm going to come back down, just spreading my wires out a little bit. I'm going to come back down between 1 and 2. I'm going to go over 2 and 3, up between 2 and 3, and then back down to the bottom. Okay. So I'm going to continue to do this with 10 wraps in between, 10 bottom wire wraps, sorry. I almost grabbed the 2 there. So I'm going to continue to do this until I have approximately 6 inches of this kind of weaving along the side. And when I get there, I'll come back. Hello everybody, I'm back. I'm actually back early. I don't have the amount of space I need, but I'm out of wire. So I need to add a new wire. So I thought I'd show you how to do that with this particular weave. So with this weave, you need to pay attention to how much wire you have left and where you are on the weave. So you don't want to end your weave, you know, your wire up the top here, because there's very little to hide it. It's very hard to keep it trapped in so that it stays nice and secure, doesn't slide around. So you have to do it when you're on the bottom. So I came to the bottom and I brought my wire around once, and that was it. So I have 10 wraps in here. So I'm going to split the wraps up a little bit. I'm going to wrap one more time. I'm just bringing my wire up because it's really short, funky way. I'm going to wrap one more time. And then I'm going to bring my wire up another time, and when I bring it up, so this would be the start of my third round, I'm going to have it in the middle. Let's see if I can get closer here for you. So it's sticking out of the middle. And at this point, I just make sure everything's all nice and tight and shoved in. Okay, I take my nippers, or my flat flush cutters, and I'm going to bend this back away from the way it came in, and I'm looking for, move my light a little bit here, give me a second. I just had my light pop off my table. So this is going to be fun. Excuse me for a second, all the banging. Okay, sorry about that. My light just actually popped off my table, so I'm going to have to fix it, but that's okay. We'll just do this little cut. Hopefully you can still see it. Let me bend down a light here so you can see some. Okay, so I have it bent this way, and I'm going to just come in with my nippers, with the flush side of my this is the flush side. It's going to cut it flush against the work as tight as I can in that little groove, right in the groove where the wire is, and I'm going to clip it off. And if you can see if it'll focus for me. See if I can get it to focus. There we go. It's sort of tucked in between those two. See how that's tucked in there? So now I'm going to take a new piece of wire. I'm going to go for another long piece, stretched out as far as I can. I just clipped it. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and I'm going to put it as if I was continuing that wrap. So I'm putting it between wires 1 and 2. If I can get it to focus for you here. There we go. So I'm going to put it between wires 1 and 2. And I'm going to hold on to that tail. So I've got 2 wraps, and I'm going to push. I'm shoving that in with that other one. And just make sure before you go any further that you can't feel it, the other one that's in there. So that's 1, 2, so this will be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now if you look, if we can get it to focus up here, whoops, sorry, I'm swinging all over the place. You can barely see the spaces in that wire. There we go. Focus for a second there. Come on, baby, focus. So you can barely see that wire is in there, which means it's basically disappeared, and I started a new wire. And now that this has been wrapped around, now if you only have like 4 or 5 wraps in there, you might want to do 1 wrap and then do it. But you need to do at least 1 wrap of your final wire and then 1 wrap of the new wire. So find a place where you have a couple of wraps repetitive wraps where you can do that kind of thing when you're changing wires. Okay, so I'm going to finish this, put my light back up. I'm going to finish this till I get to that the 6-inch mark that I want to, or just below 6 inches, and then I'm going to check it around the thing. So I'll come back to do that part with you. Okay, I'm back. I've got 5. I want to check it against my thing, but first I check it against my cabochon. I need to do that soon, so let me just back out just a smidge here. There we go, so you can see properly. Hopefully. Got my light back up. That was fun. There we go. Straighten things out a bit. Alright, so I'm going to take this, remember the wire we added? I actually added another one. So we're going to do the same thing to this wire that I added as we did to the other wire. So, sorry, I should have left it zoomed in. You're going to bend it away from where it's sticking through the wire. Turn this around. And I'm going to take the flat part of my nippers, and I have to hold them kind of funky in my hand. And I'm going to put it up against the either side of the wire there, and I'm careful not to catch any of the wires here. I'm just sort of catching it in that little groove and then clipping it off. And see? It's off. And there's absolutely nothing there, because it cuts it off the same angle as the little groove is. So I really love it. I'm going to go back to the beginning and get rid of that one too, because those things poke at me and I don't want to take care of them later when they're already weaved in amongst everything. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Now this one's a little different because I have this little wire end and I need to be able to wrap it around. So I'm going to put it between this first and second. It's pretty small. Just being patient, getting it in with my fingers, pulling it, and I'm going to do this on the other side. So I'm going to do the same motion. So the flat side of my pliers, this side here, goes against the work, and you can sort of feel it. You don't have to even see it. You sort of, see if I can get this up here where you guys can see this. So let me see if I can move some of this stuff out of the background if it'll actually focus for you. Okay, so I have my flat side of my pliers sort of right, and I get the wire, see, they're between my nippers or my cutters, and I'm sort of right leaning against the tip of the cutters here, are leaning against the next wire. And I'm not putting any pressure at this point. And once they're sort of flat up, can you see they're flat up against the wire? I can't see that they're in the, I can't hold it any other way. And I just nip. Now this one I can feel. So that means I have to push it down. So I'm going to flip this around here. And I'm going to coil. I'm sort of just smoothing very gently. I don't want to mark all the wire up. That little tip down along the, until it's gone. And it's gone. So we're good. So now we've got, I've got 5 inches. I want to make sure that I need 6. So let me back out again. Well, that's a good angle for you guys. Yeah, my desk had a little bit of a hoo-ha. That my magnifying lamp as well fell earlier. Alright, so I'm not worried what's top and bottom of this because it's round. If you have a weird shape or a rectangle or a triangle of clay or just an odd shape, you're going to need to pay attention to what the top is, but I don't have to at this point. So I'm going to just, I'm grabbing everything and I'm just slowly pushing it up against the side of the cabochon. So I'm just pushing and pushing and pushing, and I'm not going too crazy. I want to keep this flat. Take the other side, do the same thing. I'm holding it down sort of with my two fingers, like my finger, my thumb, and this finger here. I'm pressing it against the cabochon, holding the cabochon with this too, and I'm pushing and pushing. Sorry about that. Coughing, and I'm pushing. So I can see, and you see, I need a little more. I just wanted to make sure before I went further that I need more. So you can see it almost makes it. And yeah, I could push this further, but then these wires are going to cross at the top here, and I'm trying to prevent that right now because I still have to wire weave. So I can see that I'm going to need some more, so I'm going to do another maybe 2 or 3 round little spikies, and I'll be right back and we can go from there. Okay, I'm back. So it looks like I'm pretty close. I have what I need. As you can see, I sort of brought it around. I can see that it's getting really close. So I'm just going to continue to push this around underneath the other one. This has the longer wires on it. So you can see this has just a little bit longer wires. So I can do more decoration with this one. And other than getting this bent around, sorry about the, trying to leave it flat here. Now it is going to dome up a little bit, so it's going to slant on the sides like this around the cabochon, which is fine. I'm okay with that. Just a little bit. You can make it go perfectly flat if you do a little bit wider circle, but you have to just be patient with all of this. The silly things want to. So I'm just going to bring this around by hand when it's outside of the, because as you can see I was bending my wires kind of funky. So, and it's pretty stiff, so it doesn't want to, look at that. So it looks like I have lots of weaving there. I have no trouble at all. So now we have to figure out what to do with the hole, and we need to figure out what to do with all of these extra wires. So that's the next interesting piece. So just bringing this around a little bit more, making it happier, more of a circle. Pushing it up against there before I do any bending or anything. So I'm just making sure everything's fitting really good. So now I have this hole at the top, and I need to figure a way to secure that. So I'm thinking I need to stick a wire into it and bring it around the front, maybe do a curlicue on the front here. So I'm going to take this back wire, the very back wire and the bottom here, and I'm going to bend it. And I'm bending it with my finger. Let's see, let's bend it with the pliers, make it easier for everybody else. So I'm just going to come in and right past the weaving, I'm just going to bend it down because I need to eventually get that, this hole has to go in there, right? So the second part of what I got to do is bend it back this way towards me, but I need to know how far down. So I'm just trying to figure out from the top of there, I need to come down about here. See, I can see the wire, so I can take it and I'm going to bend it just a little bit with my pliers there, bring them around, and I'm bending it sort of towards the back without going all the way to the back. See, I just bent it a little bit. Okay, so since I don't have any of this fastened yet, I'm just going to take this, I don't want to kink up the wire too badly, and I'm going to bring it through the hole here, and then I can continue that bend from where it is, bring that straight forward, and see if my piece fits on it. Ta-da! It does. Let me get my weaving wire out of the way here. So I have that on the one side. So that actually helps me to sort of pull this around and get it tighter. Yep. Okay. I'm just going to go a little bit past because I'm trying to get it to squeeze in a bit. I don't have to fight with it so much when I go to put them together. Okay. So basically I got to bring these two up. So this is me thinking. You're watching my thinking process. I need to get these two up to make this tight enough. When I hold this down on the mat, basically the end of this weaving here and that little weaving there are pretty well lined up, and that makes it pretty tight around this cabochon. So I have to fasten it with it like that. So I'm going to take the cab out, and I have my weaving wire here. So now I got to figure out how am I going to do this so that it looks pretty and it gives it some structure and makes it happy, right? So this has got to come to there. Oops, this has got to come to there. Right? So I'm thinking my first thing I need to do is I'm actually going to bring it around this wire here. And that will help me pull it to the center. See, look, when I pull, it's pulling it to the center. So I'm going to pull these together, hold them up the top. Make sure that's in the middle. And I'm going to actually wire wrap around this little center post. So I'm just pulling my wire in and out of this hole. I know, that was kind of a weird cheat. Pulled the loop up and over. Hey, if it works, works. You figure your own way out. There's lots of little shortcuts, but you're going to figure it out as you go. And there's nothing else in my way, so... Say, look, it's holding it. Isn't that awesome? And it gives me some wire weaving on the back down to the hole. So I'm going to finish this down to here. And let's see how much play I have on this one. I'm actually going to coil all of this, at least up to about here, and then we're going to come back and we're going to put this piece on. So I'll be back. So I'm coiling this little bent piece and then part way up here. And I'm going to straighten this wire before I coil it, just so you know. Okay, I'm back. So, what I've done is I actually had to feed the weaving wire and the stick that was coiled, partially coiled, through the hole in to make sure it would fit. Now, as you can see, it's sort of flopping around in there. That's kind of cool if you wanted to just leave it like that. I could just finish these top pieces and then just leave this sort of a free-floating piece inside. But I think I'm going to do something different with it today. So I don't need any more coil. At least I don't think I do. I'm going to just move this out of the way. And I don't want a humongous coil in the center of this because it would block all this beautiful polished... let me see if I can get my camera straight again. I'm having all kinds of technical difficulties today. Anyways, so now I need my round nose pliers. And I need to figure out how much I want. So I'm going to cut some of this off just above. I'm going to cut it off just above the... see if I can get it to come into focus here. Just above where the wire wrapping is. Flush cutters down. Cut it. And I'm not worried about that. Take my round nose pliers. Now, I want a spiral to go either way. It doesn't really matter. I tend to do better when I spiral away from myself, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm spiraling away from myself. Get it started. Now, it's in the wrong plane, but it's easy enough to fix. So I'm going to continue the spiral. I use my fingers. You could use, especially with the coiling, you have to be sort of careful. You could use your Nylon Jaw Pliers. Names are hard for me. I don't know what that is, but something about, it's always been that way my whole life. Names are hard. Yvonne Williams always says, words are hard. For me, it's names. Names are hard. So I'm tweaking this in, and tweaking this in, and I don't like the amount of space that's in that little hole there. Let's see if I can get it tighter here. I don't like the amount of space that's there. See how it's bigger on this side? So that's when you get your pliers in carefully, just pushing. And if I make a space like that, I just take my fingernail and push the coils back. There we go. Everything's good. So I'm bringing it around, sort of flattening it out as I go. I made a nice big space in there. So fix stuff, that's one of the things I learned is you have to fix stuff as you go. It's really hard to fix stuff after the fact, especially if you get other stuff in front of it. So, okay, pliers, I'm bringing it around. Now I'm pulling tightly against the back of where this is, because I want this to sort of wrap this in and hold that in there without it being, you know, too loose. And it's still too loose, so this weaving wire is getting interesting. I may have to just get rid of it. Okay, let's try again. I don't know if you can see, but I've got too much space. See, there's too much space there? There we go. Pushed it up. Less space. Much better. I'm just bringing this around, bringing this around, bringing this around, and it can go up or down. See, this could go down like this, or it could go up. I think I'm going to make it go up. I don't like it down so much. So I'm just bringing it around so that whole spiral is facing towards the top. Okay, I'm a little happier. Oh yeah, so one of the things I discovered, see how it's loose here? That's because the weaving that's woven onto the base wires here, when I wove to here to hold this together, it stressed those wires and pulled them towards the center. So I have to squish that all back. And I didn't know it was going to do that. It's one of those things you learn as you go, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. So I'm just pushing against just the wires there. I'm not clamping these wires this way. I'm just pushing, using it to push to tighten those wires up. Okay. So now I need to secure some other things, because obviously that's not going to be a good enough piece of security to keep anything. So I think I want to keep this to go to the front. And I'm going to need a bail, and I think I'm going to need something to go around the back. So let's see, what do I want to do? So I'm liking these 3 wires here as the bail. So I'm going to need to bring these around the back. So I'm going to grab, I have a scrap piece of weaving wire, but you just grab whatever you'd like. It's going to work for you. And I don't think this one's going to come around to the front. I'm going to leave it bare because I want the silver and copper to be together. So I am back. I lost my camera. I'm not sure why, but I did. So I'm just working on making sure this is all tight. This is one of the hardest parts for me, is getting this all snug and wonderful and lovely and everybody happy at this top end here. So there we go. So I'm just still working the 1-2 weave, and then 5 around the middle, and then to the opposite direction, and then 5 around the middle. I'm having fun with these wires today. Then there we go. Around both, twice, around the bottom 2 twice, and then 5 around the middle. And then I think I might have enough weaving to be able to bend it around the back. There we go. Just pushing all of this in, making sure it's all tight on the, there we go. Looks pretty good around the stone. And I'm going to bring these up, and I'm just bending them as threesome up and over. Just to the, if you know the, see the center here, I'm just going to the, and my right, I don't know how you're seeing it, but my right of the center here. because I know where that's going to be, I can bring these 3 up. So it's already getting more secure. As you can see, I'm moving I don't hesitate to move the stone around at this point because I want to get it exactly where I want it to be. I'm just checking that all these wires are sitting like on the right place on the stone. See how you can move it around still? Just sort of making sure I'm happy with all of that because it's already starting to get much more secure. Okay. So now I have these 3 wires at the back, and this is probably going to be the easiest way for me to secure my stone in, and that's going to be to bring these out and do coils with them. So I can see that this is kind of looped, so I'm going to squish this down a little bit more. There we go. That makes me a little happier. So this is the time that you have to tweak how everything is laying and make yourself happy. Okay, so I am going to take these and coil them. I'm going to make a coil this way. I'm going to a spiral, sorry, this way. I'm going to coil the center one here with the wire that I have left, and then I'm going to do a coil almost to the sort of out to one side to the bottom, and then I'm going to bring the other one and coil it to this side, and then I'll be back. I am back, and so what I've done is I made a little bit of a swirly up the top here and I just did that by bringing the wire around on all 3 of them, and then I made these 2 the same length, not that it really mattered, and then I made a curl. So I'm going to eventually fasten this in here into the weaving and this over here into the weaving to give support to the back. And this here is I've coiled it to this point. I'm just trying to make it look pretty because there's a little bit of a kink in that I don't like. And you can do that even with the coil. I'm just using my fingers and trying to be gentle. So I'm ready. I can actually attach this at this point to the bottom of that. So let's zoom in here. Oh, wrong way. So as you can see, that's what it looks like so far. So now I can attach this to the bottom. Now I've been thinking about, and this is another one of my thought processes, so I'm thinking. So when I actually feel, and if I put this in like as a curve, it's actually below that top one. So I'm thinking I don't necessarily want to attach it at the top one. And it leaves a nice ledge. Now if I do it that way, it's going to show more of the front, and I obviously need to work on the edge of this and make it all nice and lovely. And the nice thing about wire is that you can go and tweak it a little bit afterwards. So let's see. I want this to come this way, and then I'm going to spiral what's left. So I'm going to attach it. And since I already have the weaving wire attached, before I go any further, I'm going to see what I can do here. So I'm trying to look through my magnifying glass so I can see what's up. How easily they're going to go through. Okay, so I think I'm going to take it through between the, if you look on the outside, that doesn't help. Let's see, another angle. Okay, so I'm coming between the second and third wires, and then I'm going to go back down between the first and second wires there. I'm just pulling that through, making sure it doesn't kink. I want to pull it through nice and flat. And I got a little bit of a kink, but nothing major. So see how I, whoops, see I pulled it in flat, so it's flat in there. And then I'm going to come back. And I'm only going to just do 2 of these wraps. So I'm going to come back up. Oh, I've got to get it in camera view, and then I can't see. So, okay. Let's see here. Maybe if I tilt the camera this way more, I can move closer. Yay! And you can still sort of see what I'm doing here. So, I got to come in between the first and second here, and I just trying to get it to go in there. There it goes. first and second, and I'm pulling gently. The whole idea is if you make sort of a big loop and pull, it'll keep it, see how there's like a big loop? It'll keep it from kinking a little bit. So I pulled that up and pulled it up right tight next to the other weaving there. So it actually disappeared. And then I'm going to wrap once around the coil that I was making around this wire. I just went like this and went once around. And then I'm going to do it again. But I'm going to do it, no, I'm going to go twice around, and then I'm going to do it on the other side of this. I'm just pushing that up. So I'm going to go back down. Remember, between the second and third, because the first one has all the coils on it, so it's kind of in the way. Just finding a hole here, and I know you probably can't see. Wrong hole. Okay, found the right hole. So I'm between the, see? That's where I put it through. You probably can see better than I can, because I'm looking at my camera and going, hey, that's pretty good, you can actually see. This gets tricky, just pull slowly. So if you notice, I'm trying to make sure my wire's pretty straight. I don't care about the tip so much, but the rest of it, it's really nice to have it straight. So I'm bringing it back up between that first and second wire. So that means there's 2 loops, checking the loop on the back so I don't have any big kinks. Okay, so that pulled through, and now I can continue coiling this for the rest of the length. I'm just going to pull that up just a smidge to make it a little bit easier. But this is secure to the bottom now. It's not going anywhere. I don't know if you can see, it's like secure to the bottom. I could have secured it here as well, maybe even closer. But this is secured pretty well at this point. Like I'm wobbling it around and there's nothing really going on. It's not the prettiest looking as far as it needs to be, like sort of straightened and made sure everything's laying properly, but it's secure at this point. So now this is just playing and playing. So this is my wire weaving playing. And coiling is like watching paint dry. I know, I'm sorry. I'm going as fast as I can without getting it even. Because I like my stuff tight, as you probably noticed. And if I was to do this again, I would not coil the back of this. Or I would and make sure it was perfectly straight, and then I wouldn't coil what's in the hole. I don't really like that much there. That's why I'm trying to bring this in a little bit to sort of make it look like I did it intentionally. So it's like a little loop-de-loop around the top, see? It's not so bad looking that way. And then this is going to lay between the two. So it'll help it to sort of make it look better. I think the back should look as pretty as the front. And if it doesn't, that's a problem. And that's something you got to work at, because this is where we're fastening everything off. Okay, I'm okay with leaving a little bit of bare wire. I don't know if you can see. There's some bare wire here. I'm okay with leaving some bare wire on this sucker because it'll be in the center, and then it'll have the antique copper on top of it. So I'm just going to check to see that my edge is flush, and it's not. So this tip here is not flush. So I'm just going to make it flush. I'm just taking my nippers, flush cutting it. I wear glasses, obviously. If you don't wear glasses or have safety glasses, then like stick your finger on top and keep it from, otherwise you could wear, and these things, those little points are super sharp. I've ended up with a couple of them in the bottom of my feet and they hurt. It's kind of like stepping on a little tiny tack. Anyways, so now I'm going to curl this. So I'm just putting it to the end of my pliers, and I'm just bringing it in, bringing it in, bringing it in, bringing it in, bringing it in. See, I attached it down here, so I know that I have to keep my, whoops, I have to keep my coil, I can't come all the way over here because it's attached here, right? Remember, we attached it here? So I can't bring this all the way back to the center there. But I can bring this one over more to that one. See? You're the boss of the wire is not the boss of you. It has a mind of its own, but it is not the boss of you. There's a difference. So I think I'm just going to have to finish off this wire, this weaving wire at this point. So again, remember I take the flat side, put it towards the work, and I'm actually going to bring it in so it's really tight to the coil and it's on the underside. And that means there's nothing up top. Okay, so now my decision is, do I do these with copper or do I do these with silver weaving wire? I don't know. I think I need to do them with silver. And the only reason I'm thinking that is because then they'll stay silver and this will stay brass, antique brass, and there'll be a difference between the two. And I have to decide whether I want to bring this up a little bit more. So they're like this. Do I want to bring, you know, how do I want to do this? I could bring these both up right till they're right here and here. So yeah, so let's get some silver weaving wire. And you could, again, do this all in copper if you wanted. It wouldn't matter. It's up to you. Okay, so I don't need a lot. So I'm going to basically make myself a little scrap. I should have checked my scrap jar. Because I'm just going to fasten them. And that's all I'm doing with them. So probably some piece about that long, which is about, what, 6 inches. It's probably more than enough for me. Word to the wise, something I've learned. Cut it too short, I probably only need 2 inches. But if I cut it too short, I'm going to pay for it. And the way I'm going to pay for it is that I'm going to struggle getting the ends in and out. So with this one, I'm actually going to secure it to the wire that I'm going to secure it to the loop to first. So remember how I went between the first and second? Yeah, between the first and second, and then I went between the second and third. So I'm doing that with the side here. There we go. In my first loop, bring it back down between the first and second. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Again, this is me creating on the spot, and you're seeing this. Oh, so obviously I had a kink on the other side or something. There we go. Nope, I'm good. So I'm looking to see that it's all laying flat, and it is. I'm happy. So back down one more time, because I want 2 wraps on that main wire to be what's pulling against, not just one. You could even do 3. And if you can't reach something like this silly wire that's hiding behind this spiral, you can do what I just did and just grab your pliers. Okay, so I have the 2 wraps, checking to see that they're pretty neat. Yep, they look good. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one first, and I am going to pull, and then I'm going to do this fun little fish hooky thing, and over, and if I can get it to go under properly, yeah, it should be easy, and it's not. I'm basically going to secure it to the side of this. So I'm pulling pretty good, as you can see. So now I've got this secured to, I don't know if you can see, but it's secured to here. Checking that I have the right spacing that I want, that everything's going to be happy. Once I get this all tightened up, that I'm not sticking out too far in the front, I think I'm good. Okay. Again, bring it up and through. That other wire out of the way for a second. So there's 2. 3. I think I'm going to be good with 4. So 4, and now I'm checking to make sure they're nice and tight, and I wish this was focusing better. I don't know if you can see that now. Okay, so see how there's 4 wraps on the one side of that. Now I'm going to take this other wire, and I'm going to do at least 3 wraps, if not 4, from the other side. So I'm bringing it through that same loop. There's 1. I'm making a little loop, and I'm tucking that loop underneath the circle. It's kind of like playing Go Fish. I don't know. I'm just trying to catch that. Let me pick it up a little bit. I'm picking up that coil just a little bit so I don't have to fight so hard. There we go. 2. And see, it's a little harder when I have less wire. 3. Again, I'm picking up that little coil because it's wanting to really be snug in there, which is great, but it's making it really hard to get me to get these coils laid up beside each other. 1 more time. Just a smidge, just enough to get that wire underneath. See how it's sort of going underneath? Can you see how it's going underneath? Then I slide it past all the other ones till it's on the far side, and then I pull and then squish these down together. Okay, so now all I have to do is take this and take it to the back side, or the front side. I'm just trying to get it out of the way at this point because I need to cut it off. Oh, that didn't work so well. I'll be hanging out in Nana land. Okay, so I'm going to cut it off here and then tuck it under. So you're getting to watch me poke and prod, and this is how I do things. I just figure out where it fits. There it goes. Okay, so when I pull this now, it's going to put it where it needs to be. And just before it gets there, I'm going to trim it. And this helps to start the wire going in the right direction. There we go. Sorry, I'm going to take a drink of water. And then I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to tuck that under. So I don't want anything to be available to catch anybody or be in anybody's way. So that's completely tucked under. And this one, I'm going to do the same thing. Put it underneath. Little fish hook so it comes back up. See how it's already starting to bend that direction? And it's not quite snug. See? Hopefully it'll focus. See, it's not quite snug, and that's when I cut it. And that's because, for me, I have a really hard time with my wires. I need to get a pair of Xeron wire cutters. Getting in tight enough with my bent nose pliers. So again, I'm tucking this under, tucking it under, pushing it in. Okay, so they're both buried in between this caging here and this spiral. So now I got to do the same thing to the other side that I just did there, and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So I have these two fastened down. They're secure. And then I have this one's secure, as we did already. So that's all secure. So now I have this wire in the front that I have to deal with, and then we have to do something with the bail. Figured I'd finish coughing before I got back on the thing, but nope. So I'm wanting to sort of pattern So right now I'm just laying it on the inside of the other coil. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just sort of laying it on the inside of that other coil. Now, do I want to cut it off and shove it in there, or do I want to bring it back around? Nope, don't like it bringing it around. Not like that anyways. So I'm straightening the wire back out, and as I said, this is, you get to see me doing it, figuring it out as I go, and this is how you do it too. Don't expect that you're going to start and you're going to have it all figured out before you get anywhere. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do with this last piece of wire. Do I want it to come over here? Do I want it to go back up top? You know what? I think I want to keep this simple. I'm quite happy with the way this looks at this point, so I think I'm just going to cut it off. I can't think of anything I love to do with this. I don't want to do another spiral here. I don't really need another spiral in the back. Yeah, I think I'm just going to cut it off. So, I need to see where this laid inside of that. And I'm taking the flush cutters, move back over here, and cutting this flush, just this, taking this piece out of here. Now I have my round nose pliers. So now I'm going to push it back in around the spiral here. It's already in place. Whoops. Whoops is never good with wires. Can you see how this is? I'm trying to lay this inside of here. Would have been easier if I'd done them together, but this one is already finished. So pull this up, get it out of the way for a second. I need to make a little bit more space. So you can do that. You can move it out of the way. I need to make a little more space on the top end of this little spiral to get this tucked in properly. Okay, so, and then I'm going to push down with my pliers right on the tip of that wire, push it in so it's not in the way and it's tucked inside. So far so good. Everything's like, this ain't going anywhere. It's like totally like secure. This is the back. Not so bad. I can live with that. If it flips over. Let me see here. Just checking the flare on the sides here, which is also pushing all of this stuff down really tight on the back. So I'm just doing it gently, just pushing out the flare so that I can see more of that wire, because I want to see more of that beautiful wire woven wire. Okay, so last but not least, I gotta do a bow. So I'm thinking maybe copper, and I'm thinking we need to do the 5 wraps around the middle, 2 on the one side, 5 wraps around the middle, 2 on the other side, 5 wraps on the middle, 2 on the other side, and I will come back when I've got the bail pretty well finished. Okay, I'm back. So I've gotten some done. I don't know if I need more or not. I think I'm going to be good. I'm going to slightly, so as you can see, it's 5 wraps around the center one, 2 wraps to the one side, 5 wraps, 2 wraps to the other side, 5 wraps, and these are, the 2 wraps are over both. So let me see if I can bring this up. You can see this. 5 wraps, 2 wraps, 5 wraps, 2 wraps, 5 wraps, 2 wraps, and so forth. Till you get the length you want. This is a big old honkin' metal needle, knitting needle. It's a size, let me see. Let's see if anybody can read that. 13. It's a size 13 knitting needle. USA, size 13. So, using Europe, I can help you. This makes a great bail maker. So, first of all, what I'm going to do is going to push it forward slightly. So, I just want to angle it forward slightly before I start the bail. And then I'm holding it with my thumb sort of right here, bracing it, and then I'm rolling it over. Okay, so it looks like I do have enough wire weaving, so I'm good there. Put that back in. So before I bring it down any further, I wanted to make sure. So now that I get to this point, I like to just take the wires, and you can use flat nose pliers. Where are my flat nose pliers? There they are. Make sure this is nice and tight, the weaving. And I'm just going to hold it just below the weaving, and I'm going to fan it. I'm pushing up so that when I tuck this in, see, I'm going to tuck that in. So I make a nice bail. Okay, so now I have to figure out how I'm going to attach the bail and what I'm going to do with it. Yay! And I don't have a lot of wire here. You notice? And it's kind of going to be right on top of all this mess. I think I'm going to bring this one around. And I'm going to wrap it. I'm just wrapping it around here. And I'm going to tuck it inside of here and clip it off. So I'm just going to bend this over. Get my flat nose pliers. I'm bending it over. I'm going to push it in here. I'm putting it in the hole of my bail. And I'm pulling really good and tight. And then I'm going to get, well, it's not, let's see if I can get this to show up here. Making sure everything's out of the way. See, it's inside. I don't want it to be on the outside here of the bail, so I need to cut it sort of while it's still open on the inside. See, it's still open. So I got to get my cutters in there, and I'm cutting with the flush side towards the work. See, flush side towards the work, and I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to be able to take my pliers and tuck it really tight in against the bail. Push it down a little bit. Oops. God, it's hard when it's tight. So I can still see it up a little bit on the inside, so I need to bring that down a bit. So I'm just pulling it down against the other bottom wire here. So it ends up leaving you with this. And that's inside the thing. I got to push it down a little bit more. It's not tucked enough. So I'm being careful not to be on the coil here. I just want to go on the metal part, just the wire, bare wire, because I don't want to make a hot mess. Okay, I'm happy with that one. So I think I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. I'm trying to keep this very minimalistic. It doesn't need to be overly ornate. I love overly ornate. I'll show you if I can find it quickly. Find that piece. Yeah. Here. Okay. So this is a piece that I've made. That is a lot more ornate, as you can see. So, and this is over another stone. So it can be crazy, like lots of squirrels and squiggles. It can be very graphic. That's the fun of wire weaving. You let the piece of whatever it is that you're working on speak to you about. So this one I'm working on right now, but then I'm going to be working on this one. And it actually has a little crook here, so I'm actually thinking of almost hanging it like a dagger, which should be awesome. But anyway, so my brain is always going and thinking about ideas. Get that out of the way. So again, I need to bring this around. So I'm bringing this around nice and smoothly. I'm going to bring it around the front. And I want to tuck it right on top of the other wire. So that other wire is up a little bit. So let's see if we can get that there. Tuck it around the top of the other wire. So it still looks nice and neat up front. I'm going to bring my pliers and help push it. I'm holding it on the front side with my finger so it doesn't move too much there. And I'm poking it through the hole, poking it through the hole. I just felt it with my finger on the other side. So I'm taking it and I'm pulling it tight, and then I'm lifting up. And I'm lifting up because I need to be able to get in there and cut, remember? So, okay. I'm getting in with my, and I'm cutting. Can you see from that angle how much I'm cutting? I'm trying to be less than the width of this bale, which isn't very wide, just so you know. And I'm thinking of hanging this on some chocolate brown leather cord or some suede cord. So I'm because of that, I wanted to have this nice and big, lots of room for movement. So now I have this one last piece left. Oh, what do I want to do with it? Not very big, so not much I can do. And I have these 3 coils already here. So, don't necessarily need a coil over top of it. I think I'm going to just tuck this right inside of here, but not wrap around the front first. So I'm letting my pliers help me do the work here. And I'm holding on, and I'm pulling for dear life, and now I'm going to pull with my pliers. See how that brought that up nice and tight? Now, obviously, I'm finished with this weaving wire, so I need to cut it off. There we go. Make sure that there's nothing sticking out. And my hands are so calloused, I can feel everything because they pokes into my calluses. So, yay. Again, the same thing. I pulled it tight. Now I'm going to lift it up a little. And then I'm going to sneak inside here and try to flush cut it. It's probably easier to do it from this way, see? I'm going to try to flush cut it. And then I'm going to poke this down inside, so I'm going to be curving it this way. Decided it wanted to pop out. So let's try this again. Come on, you. There we go. You're the boss of the wire is not the boss of you. So, as you can see, she ain't going anywhere. So let me pull back out a bit. I don't know how I get my camera so wonky-doodle. So this is what I'm thinking of doing. I have this. I'm going to put some probably brown leather cording through here and sort of the copper, dark copper color. And I made this little piece, and so I'm actually thinking of hanging it from here. So I'm going to just wrap it on either side or use a jump ring to this center. See this little center coil here? So this is just a finding I made, but you can buy a finding, you can find a finding, you can use an earring finding, whatever you want. And then I'm thinking of hanging just one green stone that'll match this on the bottom here, and my piece will be finished. So this is the how to wire wrap a clay piece. You know, I may still tweak the back a little tiny bit more and make it happier, but I'm happy with this. It came out really nice. This is what it looks like close up, so everybody can see. So I'm quite happy with all of this. I don't have too much. The piece of pottery is lovely. There's no dents or scratches in it. Everything's good here. I'm probably going to put my signature right here with a little tiny baby Sharpie, and it'll actually soak into the clay, so it'll be wonderful. Okay, so we're done for today. Thanks for going on this journey with me, and it was a lot of fun to sort of figure out where we're going to go together. I hope you learned something. If you did, again, like and subscribe. And if you want to see more wire working videos, just let me know. Say more wire working, you know, in the comments. And I will definitely try to do more wire working for you. I do a lot of different crafts, and I'm busy with lots of different things. So I need to, if you want more wire working, I have to focus on a little bit to make you some videos. So let me know that you'd like it. Okay, so take care and have a wonderful day. And keep on making from Manny's Making. Bye-bye.